Am I Santa? God, I hope not. Well, hi, it's Kathleen, and today I'm going to show you 5 last-minute holiday gifts that you can get from the thrift store that people are actually going to like. I think that's the most important part. We've got gifts for the music lovers in your life, the 4-pod companions, your little cousin who's just way cooler than you. Just quit stressing, sit down, and let me help you out. Am I taking advantage of your last-minute desperation to get views on this video? I mean, if the video is helpful, doesn't really matter why I'm doing it. So we're gonna start with 2 DIYs that you can make in under 30 minutes using thrifted materials. And hold on, if you're not into the DIY, if that's not your jam, then don't worry, I got you covered. We're gonna start on the non-DIY thrifted gifts at this timestamp. So go on ahead, we'll meet you there. Go on, get. Okay, are the cowards gone? Let's get to making. All right, this first DIY is for our trendy Tinas, our fashion kings. We're gonna be using random thrifted necklaces, the kind that you can get for a dime a dozen, to make a super cool, trendy mask chain and a matching necklace to go along with it. So let me tell you about the materials that you're gonna need. For this DIY, you're gonna need some long beaded necklaces from the thrift store and a few jewelry making supplies that you can pick up at your local craft store. This includes jump rings, crimp beads, crimp bead covers that have a little hook on them, and closures of your choice. So I've got lobster claws for the necklace, and then these little hinged closures for the mask chains. All right, we're gonna start off easy with this cute chain necklace with these green stones. This gives me Anna Luisa vibes for sure. And this is easy mode because we're gonna be using the existing hardware on the necklace and just add that little hinged mask clip at the end and we're pretty much done. So I tried to get necklaces that were at least 2 feet long so that I would have enough material for a short necklace, like a choker length, and then some chain left over for the mask chain. And I'm just gonna separate this into 2 chains by using pliers to separate this little jump ring. And from here it's simple. Once you have your necklace and your mask chain, you're gonna add the closure type needed for the piece. So for the necklaces, we're gonna be adding a necklace closure like a lobster claw, and then just pop those larger closures onto the mask chain. This DIY is breathtakingly simple. We've got our matching necklace. Let's apply the mask and see how cool we look. Oh my gosh. I feel like a cool guy. I really like how kind of subtle this is. It almost has an earring vibe, which would be really cool if you layered this up with some cool bling on your ears. Although you might get a little tangled up, so be careful. This is sweet. I cannot wait to wear this. I mean, give it to someone. And I'm definitely not keeping it for myself. Okay, I might keep it. It's really cool, but I'm making 2 more, so maybe I'll keep 1 for myself and give away the other 2. I'm so pleased. All right, on to level 2. This is just a little more complicated, but still really simple. All right, we got the easy one out of the way because it already had the links between the beads. Now let's do something a little more elite. We'll start with this peachy, corally, cool guy. So basically, I'm gonna try and really carefully snip this into 1 long chain. I'll probably have to take off a couple beads, that's okay. And some beads are probably gonna fly off, and I need you to not freak out about it, okay? Because I'm already nervous, and when you're nervous, I get nervous. Now this is 1 long chain, and we're gonna do the same thing that we did last time. So we're gonna measure out how long I would want the choker to be. We will cut that length, and then we will use the rest of the length for the mask chain. All right, now that you have a little bit of room to work, you're gonna add a crimp bead. If you're new to jewelry making like I was, I had no idea what these were. It's literally just a bead that you crush onto the string so that the beads can't escape. And I'm gonna do that using some pliers. All right, now that we have a crimp bead on each side of our mask chain and our necklace, we're gonna add a crimp bead cover. So I got these specifically because these covers have a little hook on them and I needed a hook to add our jump rings to then add our closures. So to use the crimp bead cover, you're gonna fold it over the crimped bead and then close the hook using pliers. So now that we have a hook, we can add a jump ring, and from that we can add our mask chain hardware or the lobster claw closure, whatever you need. So as a final overview, we've got beads in the middle, crimp beads on either side, covered by a crimp bead cover that has a hook on it. On the hook, we've got jump rings, because that will then allow us to add our closures, like the lobster claw and the mask chain hingy guy. I'm feeling like Bob the Builder over here. Feels good. And that's it. We're done. Honestly, so easy. If you want to really spice up this gift, you could pair it with a set of new masks, especially for somebody that maybe has to wear a mask at work, like a teacher in your life. And in the future, you can always use these mask chains as like a phone lanyard or a chain for your sunglasses. We love a functional gift. Okay, on to our second DIY. This is for the furry nieces and nephews in our lives, our 4-pod companions. We're going to be making a custom bandana or kerchief for them using thrifted fabric. So let me tell you what you're going to need. For this Bananarama, we're going to need some thrifted fabric, obviously. I'm using curtains, which I actually highly recommend because they have a channel at the top that you can string a collar through or a ribbon through, which is what I did. And you're also going to need some way of sewing, whether that's a sewing machine, or if you don't have one or don't feel like lugging it out, you can just use a hand needle and some embroidery floss. And that's it. I know I said the last DIY was simple, but this one is also incredibly simple. All we're gonna do is cut our fabric into a triangle. Make sure that you cut it to the right size. So you might need to measure a neck or two. There's a lot of neck measuring happening in this video. And once you have your bandana at the size that you like, I'm just gonna fold over the sides, pin it, hem it, finish it. And if you've watched my previous DIY videos that involve sewing and pins, I'm 2 for 2 for stabbing myself, so will we make this a hat trick? I hope not. For me, that means taking it through my sewing machine and just using a running stitch to go along the sides. Being careful to leave that channel open at the top because we're also going to make a ribbon to go through. And that's going to give us a way to close our bandana. After one bent needle and a swapping of the needles, we have our little bandana. She's got a little bit of a wibbly wobbly edge, and that's fine. And I'm going to make a ribbon out of this similar but not quite the same checked fabric. I actually used this to make this dress. Where am I going to put it on the screen? Who knows? All I'm going to do is I'm going to take a long rectangle of fabric that is longer than the length of my bandana. I'm going to fold it over in half, and I'm going to sew up 2 sides, so a short side and a long side. We're basically making a sock and making sure that one end stays open. Before you start sewing though, make sure that the outside of your fabric, the part that you want to see, is on the inside, because we're going to be flipping this ribbon inside out when we're done to hide the seam. All right, you know what to do. Pin it, hem it, send it, baby. So now we have one end that is closed, 2 sides that are sewn together, and then this side is open. There's a hole. I don't know why, but for some reason the movie Signs, directed by M. Night Shyamalan, is just living rent-free in my head right now. I don't know why. Impending alien invasion? Perhaps. You heard it here first, folks. They're here. And they hate water. All right, tube is trimmed. We trimmed our tube. Ugh. Now we're gonna turn it inside out. I'm gonna see if I can just use like a dowel or a marker to push it inside out. We'll see how this works. So I'm taking my sewn together and starting to try and turn it inside out just to get it started, and then we can use our long stick tool, our probe, you could say, speaking of aliens. And we're gonna turn it inside out. Be gentle, don't break your threads. There's no rush here. Listen to a good podcast, listen to the wind whip. There's the other side. So now I need to just kind of slowly but surely do this. There's a lot of visceral imagery in this DIY so far. Sorry. Now we will have to sew up this end of the ribbon that is not yet sewn, but that'll be pretty easy. We'll just kind of flip the ends inside and run a stitch across. Ta-da! A ribbon. Gosh. It's all right, bud. It's just the wind. He's like, yeah, but have you ever seen The Happening? Bandana complete. Oh, I just remembered that I was gonna do some embroidery too. Okay, I'll do that now, I guess. So for my embroidery, I'm gonna whip out my needle felting tools again because I don't feel like actually hand stitching this. If you didn't know, you can needle felt yarn as like a quasi embroidery. And if you have no idea what needle felting is, you gotta watch my video, folks. I'll tell you all about it. I'll link it somewhere around here. So I'm slowly spelling out good boy, appliquing it onto my handkerchief. You could use embroidery floss to do this if you'd like. And wow, we're done. I do declare, that is one dapper boy. These are fun to make, they're simple to make, so gift them to your furry friends and please send me a picture. Oh god, I must see it. We all know that these kind of things are more of a gift for us than it is for the actual furry friend, but I won't say no to a little more cuteness during the holiday. Alright, we are done with the DIYs. Welcome back, non-DIYers. So for our third gift idea, it's gonna be one of my favorites. We're talking vintage jewelry, baby. Ooh! Vintage styling and jewelry is really popular right now, so it shouldn't be too hard for you to find something cool at the thrift store. But one of my secret tips is to actually check out like an antique mall or an actual curated vintage store. You might pay a little bit more, but you'll also probably have a wider variety to choose from and a higher chance of finding a gem, literally. So I'm thinking like a classy pair of hoops or a simple necklace. It's a pretty universal gift, maybe for a mother-in-law or a potential love interest for the new year. And don't forget the second part of this gift, which is the trinket dish. I think it's a great idea to give a trinket dish or a catch-all so that they have a place to put their new jewelry. And there are so many cute little dishes and catch-alls at the thrift store. That in itself is a great gift idea, maybe for somebody who isn't so into jewelry. Just the trinket dish perhaps may be paired with some candy or a gift card. That would make anybody happy, including me. That was a really long and weird wink. All right, on to the next. Do we have a music lover in our lives? Well, why not find them a record or some vinyl at the thrift store? Okay, I know this only works if you know that they have a record player, but if they do, oh boy, this is a great gift. I really love looking through all the vinyl at the thrift store. You never know what you're gonna find, although I seem to find a lot of Barry Manilow and Kenny G. And there's usually some sort of holiday record thrown in there too, which is great at this time of year. Vinyl's usually pretty inexpensive at the thrift store. I found this awesome Winter Serenades record and it was $1. It's my favorite friend for the holiday season. So you might spend a little more money if you're looking through a curated collection at like a vintage shop, but that could be worth it if you're trying to snag their favorite artist. And at last, our fifth and final gift idea is a universal love, especially for our cottagecore fairies out there. Let's talk about plants, baby! And no, you can't usually get plants at the thrift store, unless you're going to a different kind of thrift store than I'm going to. But you can get cool planters and vintage vases at the thrift store. So hit up your local thrifty and keep your peepers peeled for the perfect vessel. Then you can pick up a houseplant or a bouquet from your favorite local shop. And you might even have luck finding plants on Marketplace. People are usually just chucking their plants out the window on there. So go take a look. Speaking of vases, I think gifting a bouquet in a really nice vase is just the perfect host gift for a holiday party. And at the end of the party, the host will be like, oh, let me give you back your beautiful vase. And you say, no, baby, it's yours. That's a friend for life. You're welcome. And that's it. That's the list. I hope it was helpful, and I can't wait to hear about what you find at the thrift store to gift your loved ones. But you may be asking, okay, we have these awesome, beautiful items that we can use as gifts, but how the heck are we gonna wrap them in a cool, sustainable, vintage way? Well, I guess you're just gonna have to come back next week when I tell you about my favorite secondhand and sustainable gift wrapping options. Spoiler alert, it involves 0 wrapping paper. So if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see next week's video in your inbox, feel free to subscribe if you'd like. I'd really appreciate it. You can consider that your Christmas gift to me. I try to post videos every week, but in the meantime, if you'd like to catch me on Instagram, you can find me at kathleenillustrated. And I just really appreciate you spending time with me. Isn't that the greatest gift? Okay, I guess that's all. So I will see you next week for some gift wrapping and, oh, you're going this way too? Oh. Let me just squeeze past you. Okay, bye!